morning, sir. How are you today?
I am doing well. And I hope you are too.
I'm okay. I just have a bit of a cold and a cough, so if it pops up, just forgive me.
Okay, understandable. First, let me take your impressions, like I've asked everybody, what your impressions are of what you heard from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Well, I mean, honestly, there was nothing different from who we have known over the years. So, I would say he was very predictable. He just likes to talk a lot, and he likes to deliver little. And then when he does, he finds excuses for why he did little and talk so much. So for me, I think it was very predictable, and I didn't hear anything that was different.
Predictable.
Yeah.
That's an interesting.
He came into office blaming the previous government, claiming they were incompetent. They didn't know what they were about to do. In 2020, he says that the former president was trying to come back to office to cause more damage. He spent almost 8 years now. Now he says that it was not him. It was someone else. He was just a mate. So for me, it's just predictable. It was just very predictable. I didn't find anything exciting. For a man who was promising a futuristic view of a country that is in tatters, to hear him repeat all the old things and this rabble-rousing and fanfare about our situation was very disturbing.
And that was where I had, because when you said that predictable, I was lost for a moment, because I'm wondering, someone who was, for the first time, a vice president, shares an agenda that seems to say, I'm essentially going to reverse everything the person who made me vice president and who even funded my campaign has been doing over the years. That's not predictable.
That's predictable. How did they remove former President Mahama from office? Lies, more lies, and more lies. And how did they do it? They blame him for all the problems of the nation, minus themselves. And so you could pardon them because they were in opposition, weren't they? So they blame the problems on someone. They say he was incompetent in delivery, and then they got the chance. He's been here for 8 years. He's taking the plane into a more nosedive. And what is it again? Yes, it is not me. I didn't get the chance. I was sidelined. So it's the same thing he did in opposition. It's the same thing he's doing in government in the hope that it will work. It's very predictable.
But that is risky, because when you're in opposition, it's easier to blame the guy on the other side. But when you're in government, to essentially say, I am blaming my own self and I'm changing my mind, is that not very risky?
Yeah, I mean, if you ask me, I'll tell you, Bawumia has laid his golden egg already. It's no more fertile. He's laid his golden eggs for the current president and the current government, and they couldn't hatch. So he has no other ideas in his head. The two of them have run this country down you see, I hear people talk about it, and I hear it even more of the intellectual talk about it's the finance minister who has done this. It's probably the finance minister. It's not the vice president. Listen, my brother, we run an executive system, okay? Let nobody forget that. And that executive system has the president at the top, the vice president next, and they run a slew of all the government agencies, including the ministries and departments. So nobody down the president and the vice president does anything on their own. Everything starts from the executive. It starts from cabinet, led by the president or the vice president. So if the minister for finance will take a decision, it will be that it has come and gone through the filter from the executive. The chief executive of the executive government is the president. The deputy chief executive is the vice president. But in the case of the vice president, he's been given the task to head the economic management of the country. And what is economic? What are you managing? So you're managing the resources of the nation, isn't it? So what are the resources? Financial or human and time. So we know that in economics, money is a resource. Human beings, labor is a resource. Time is a resource. All of this we have given these people. We've given them 8 years, which is a resource for the nation. We've given it to them to run their affairs. We've given them the opportunity to borrow the highest ever in our history, to the extent that the loan they alone have borrowed in 7 years is more than all the government since 1957 put together. Okay? We're giving them the financial resources. Then they said they have the human resource, the labor, and that they took them and the president and his vice president appointed every officer, minister, board chairman, board members. They appointed all of them. So we've given them the human resource and asked the vice president to manage all of these. And then he comes back to say he was a mate. I heard Mr. Kujo saying that he was disappointed that the vice president was defending the governor of Bank of Ghana. Look, go and see who swore them into office. It was the vice president that swore the board of directors into office. So now, when you have a man like this come back to tell you that he was just a mate, of all the things that has happened, I will blame the president less and blame the vice president more. Because when the vice president was chosen, the president clearly stated why. He said that when it comes to economics and management of the economy, he was not such an expert. So he wanted Bawumia to become his running mate so that he can manage the economy. Then it turned out that he was not even qualified to be the running mate. He forced and made a special case for him in the MPP to make sure that he became the running mate. Then he became the running mate. And he took the economic lectures, campaigns, everything about the economy was handled by Mr. Bawumia. Was he a mate at the time? When he was running his mouth for over 8 years in opposition, working lecture after lecture, was he the mate? And then now you hear ridiculous statements that, oh, the Constitution doesn't give that much power. That's what I'm saying. They don't understand what we are running. We are running an executive system. Okay? And the economy is not just about finance and financial decisions. The security of the state impacts the economy. Who is the chairman of the police council? So if after 8 years, the vice president tells us that the man who had so much confidence in him stayed in a position 8 years with him, has been in government almost 8 years with him, did not find him capable and useful, or did not find any of his ideas useful to propel the economic heights of the nation, and decided that the finance minister was rather more capable, why should we, and sideline him, why should we, the voters, we, give him the chance? When the people who brought him did not find him competent, useful enough to run the economy, and therefore thought that his ideas were a cake and will not work in the real world, then we should give him the chance again. I like to quote him, this is warped logic. Okay? It's warped logic. So for me, I feel like they've destroyed the nation. They begged for another term in 2020 to solve all the problems. They messed it up the more. Now he's coming back that, oh, give me another term. And he is the one who actually wants to do more damage. Okay? You hear his campaign and they say they want to break the 8. And he is talking about starting a new fresh 4 years. What kind of common sense is this? And me, Senna, I told you, I understand why the president and the government people realize that if you follow Bawumia, you're going to collapse. I told you, I hear you people talk about, yesterday, I heard you talking about the drone service in the north. You know, it's my pet topic. This is a man. He's an economist. Okay? He says he's an economist. I am not an economist. He's an economist. He goes to a country, Rwanda, and he sees all these drones flying in the sky, and he gets so fascinated by it, he brings it to Ghana. This is a guy who said he was a mate. He had the power to bring that technology to Ghana, and decided that the government must do this at all costs, and forgot that there is an economy of scale in flying drones in Rwanda and flying drones in Ghana, because these are two different jurisdictions. Now, in Rwanda, the case was that the topography has all these mountains and up and down. The cost of constructing roads to every nook and cranny was too expensive for them. And population density was different. It was very sparse. So what did they do? They flew drones. The drone has a capacity of 9 hours flight. So they fly the drones to deliver medicine and avoid all that unnecessary cost. The vice president brings this technology to Ghana. And when he comes, we have a completely different system. A nationally decentralized medical system where we have hospitals all the way from national, regional, all the way to the district. We have an ambulance service that runs all the way to the district. The president had just purchased a lot of ambulances. The previous government had a lot of ambulances in the hope that we can do delivery, health delivery all the way to the district. Yet, the vice president brought in this drone technology and flew over all these facilities, the regional hospitals, the national hospitals, the teaching hospitals, the district hospitals, to now deliver essential medical care to the hinterlands. Okay? He flies over all these resources.
Ghana's gold.
So those resources are lying down waste. And he now realizes that the nation actually doesn't have the money to pay for all these drone services. So what did he do? They formed a company which now goes around government agencies to go and beg for money for the financing of the drone service. Then they take a cut. They take a big cut and they give part to the Ministry of Health to pay the drone service. This is an economist. This is the man who has been in the affair, who has run the affairs of this country since 2017. When the president sees this kind of expenditure and return, he will know that this guy, if you follow him, you're going to collapse. So if they sideline him and they made him a mate without any responsibility, it is probably because they realize the guy just doesn't know things in the real world. He went to China. When he was candidate, he said they were going to move this country into production, the God's-bed economy. He went to China and negotiated a $10 billion transaction and used the bauxite that was under the ground as collateral. So the Chinese take our bauxite raw. This is the guy who said he was going to make sure we're going to do manufacturing. So when you go and sign a contract like that, and then at the end it doesn't even materialize, of course the finance minister, who is the one that will write the checks, will begin to realize this guy, if you follow him, you're going to collapse. Okay? So I listen to all these long talk. I see the executive, the presidency is different from the Ministry of Finance and on the other ministries. No. These are small agencies under the executive. The chief executive of the country is the president. It's not the finance minister. The finance minister only implements policies from the economic management team and from cabinet. Cabinet is chaired by this vice president. So I don't get it. Like, we're wasting our time on a loser. Because having given him all these resources that I mentioned earlier, from finance to time to human resource, he's coming back to tell us that it is somebody else's fault. When we know, he himself has time and time again talked about his role. So was he implementing this digitization program that he is so proud of as the mate, the driver's mate? When he shoots him, he's only a driver's mate. When he doesn't, he is something else. So one would have expected that if he was a driver's mate and didn't get any chance, then what is he touting the digitization about? For what capacity?
Radio Gold.
As a mate. So we are wasting our time on this gentleman. For me, you have worked in the government for 7 years. Your policies have been worked. Okay? It's not by force that you have to come back again. It's not by force. If you don't have any new ideas, look, I spent 7 years, even government was difficult. I realized the way things are. I don't want to be part of this. But nobody is putting a gun to Bawumia's head to become president. He has chosen. And this time, no one is going to allow him to lie his way again. Okay? And blame other people. That is his stock in trade. Where in the world can you find it? Where the vice president, the head of the economic management team, the man who says he has digitized the economy, the entire economy in Ghana has been digitized by him, says that he still didn't have the authority because he was just a mate. So in what capacity did he do all these things that he says he's done? So when the former president tells you that most of those jobs, the foundations were laid by them, you have to believe it. Yesterday I listened to Tekwe and I felt very sad for NDC. Because you realize that they did a lot of work and they took it business as usual. Nobody knew about it. These guys come to office and they see all these wonderful ideas that nobody has taken credit of. So they just dust it. They dust it a little bit, they polish it up, and it becomes theirs. Okay? I hear these people talk about, oh, there's some excitement because the man says he's going to give a flat tax rate. Bawumia went to Joy FM in 2012 and said that, and I'm quoting him, he said, Kwachokwasa Obama Tumafra, TND. He said that.
Radio Gold.
Kwachokwasa Obama Tumafra, TND. If these guys who said that they were going to reduce all taxes and ensure that things were affordable in the country, have ended up adding even more taxes, what is flat rate? He is going to come into office and will not look at it. So now let me tell you, if you go to the port, okay, the port where the vice president said he did single window digitalization there. Do you know how many sources of revenue the government gets from one import? 99. And out of the 99, about 80 of them are taxes, depending on the item that you are importing. The government gets 99 avenues to make money from import. One person brings an import, and you put all these taxes on it, and you're coming to tell us flat tax rate. What if I put flat tax rate on 99 taxes? What has it done? Okay, if the taxes are killing the people because they are way too many, and you're saying I'm going to have a flat tax rate, a flat can be even be higher. So I'm going to tell you that, pay 20% on everything. That's flat. But I'm saying that the number of taxes we are having at the port alone, 99 avenues of the government to just make money of people's imports. So promise of flat tax for me is nothing. So this gentleman is wasting our time. To be honest, doesn't he feel embarrassed that as the head of the economic management team, and all the things he has said in his political life, he comes back to say that he was sidelined? The people who believe him so much ended up sidelining him because they didn't believe. They realized that there's difference between book talk and reality, and realized that his ideas was not for the real world, and therefore they sidelined him. Doesn't he feel embarrassed? And if his own people will not give him that chance, why should we give him that chance? This is common sense. And as for those who have become suicide commandos and wearing vests for the president to test his poison, I wish them well. These are not patriots.
I'll conclude on one note, because I know, and maybe one of the things you did as a journalist most of the time is investigation. So you don't say somebody is corrupt. What you do is that you actually unearth evidence to show that the person is corrupt. That was the job you did most when you were active in journalism. Based on that and the things you said about the drone service and everything, how do you feel when people say Dr. Bawumia is not corrupt?
Listen, you see, as for Bawumia, he's more than that. I feel like he's a puppet. He's a puppet for the first family. And I love Radio look, there are some things that I were in public. I just don't want to say it. Listen, when the nation was under COVID, the COVID that they are using to make all the excuses, when they had the whole nation on lockdown, ask the vice president what he was doing in Guyana on a private jet. What was he doing there? And they think that We are going to forget this. Look, they are so bent on power because they know that when they leave, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. Okay? Ask him, when you guys get the opportunity to do a press conference, and you ask him that when the whole nation was asked to be on lockdown and everybody was not flying out, what was he doing in Guyana?
He was in Guyana.
Yes. Ask him, he and the president's family people. What were they doing in Guyana? You see, right now, for me, I think a change of government is the best thing for Ghana, so that people can see that people are competent, but they are competent in other ways. Competent in messing things up, stealing things. Look, Senna, I've told you, I worked as a journalist under former President Rawlings. I worked as a journalist under former President Kufuor. Under President Mills, I was sort of retired. But if you know what I do, at least you have an idea. Even when I'm not writing, I even do more investigations, except that is not for public consumption. And I can tell you one thing. This is the most corrupt government in the region. By scale and percentage, this is the most corrupt government. I heard the vice president talking about digitization of the school feeding program. Okay? And I weep. I weep because it looks like they put people in office and they don't change them, because so long as you do what they want, they don't care. Whether you're stealing, whether you're looting, they don't care. The amount of corruption that has gone on in the school feeding program, Senna, where somebody pays himself 15 million in one day, and he pays that 3 times in 1 week. 50 million on daily basis. They are sitting down, they've looted the nation, they're all trying to run into parliament, and they think they will get away with it. As for me, I think nothing will happen if you talk and you expose things now. Nothing will happen, because they have the whole nation on lockdown. The media is on lockdown. The so-called think tanks are on lockdown. Look at some of the things some of the think tank people are talking about. So when the vice president, you know, in intelligence, when the president travels and he wants to eat, they have this poison taster. Okay, so you go and taste the food and wait. If he doesn't die, then the president will eat. Okay, that's what some of the think tanks have become. Look at what they did prior to Dr. Bawumia's event. They tested the point of driver and mate to see what the reaction will be, so that they will be. Look, so you see all the institutions have been corrupted or biased. And so they have a field day. They think they have a field day. But let Ghanaians speak. And you see, they say the day the frog dies is when you know how long it is. But these guys have messed up big time. Big time. All their international partners are disappointed in them. Look, one of the key ambassadors that supported them in 2016, I remember very well, when we used to talk, he used to talk about NDC in past tense before 2020, just before November, when they were talking about NDC, they were talking about NDC in past tense. That is how bad they wanted to get rid of the NDC. And you know what? 6 months into office of the MPP, you know what they said? We backed the wrong horse. 6 months. So for me, Bawumia cannot be exempted. It is laughable. It is intellectually weak. It is warped logic that we try to do this kind of thing. That we even have space for him to be talking like this is some banana republic. That the vice president's office, this man has had. Have you seen his motorcade? Is that what a mate gets? And you know, You can call it a mate. Somebody calls it a spare driver. Okay? Having Bawumia become president many times when the president has been away, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Hasn't he?
Yeah, that's a constitutional provision.
Was he a mate when he was president? When they swore him in as president, was he a mate? Please, let's think about someone more serious, someone who thinks in the real world. Because from what he's saying, even his own party thinks that he's an abstract economist. His economics doesn't work in the real political environment in which leadership thrives in this country. Therefore, they sideline him. If they sideline him, he should go to the sidelines. Even in the MPP, he should go to the sidelines. And after the MPP, I hope they will learn a lesson that the structures they put there to develop their leaders for people to wait for their turn was for a purpose. When you put that one aside and you make exemptions and you destroy the architecture of the party because of one man, the president literally tore down the MPP prior to 2016. And then he broke the rules and let Bawumia come. And look at the results. So I hope the MPP will learn some sense. When they go to the halls and start clapping, I hope they learn some sense.
Mr. Archer, thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Raymond Archer, journalist, he says he's retired, sort of. But he's still an investigator, and that's international risk analysis. Well, lawyer.
Yeah, what's up, Putro? We are not going to tell you. I know, be